Hello again, everybody. I'm Leafy the Hunter, and this is the Classic Hunter's Guide. This week, I'm here to talk to you about Hunter PvP. Talents, strategies, the fights you want to get involved in, and the fights you probably want to stay away from. Before I get into the details, I want to put out a big reminder and warning to everyone. Watch the dead zone. If you've forgotten or you're new to a hunter in Classic, hunters have a dead zone where you're too far to melee and too close to ranged. It sucks, and you want to do everything you can to keep out of that dead zone. Wing clip and traps will be a big help in this case, but the one class you really need to watch out for is mages. Mages can exploit the hell out of your dead zone with Frost Nova, so make sure that you're always fighting on your terms and not your enemy's terms. We briefly touched on PvP specs in episode 2, but in this video I want to go a little more in depth on all the key talents that are specifically good for PvP. For Beast Mastery PvP, the big appeal is that your pet is doing the bulk of the damage, so you can be crowd controlled all day while your pet still tears into your opponent. Of course, you have the Intimidation Stun, which can be very clutch at interrupting heals or spell casts, or stunning a melee so you can get away from them. The big appeal, of course, is Bestial Wrath. While under the effect of Bestial Wrath, your pet does more damage and is immune to pretty much all forms of CC. It's super effective, especially against classes that can fear or root, like Warlocks, Priests, and Mages. Especially because they're cloth, they can't get your pet off them, while your pet absolutely destroys them. Fun little anecdote I have about Beast Mastery PvP. Back at level 40, first got my Bestial Wrath talent, and I was Gnomish Engineering. Went into a War Sun Gulch. Admittedly, dumb, only level 40. But regardless, I went in. Went up against the level 47 Shadow Priest. Popped Bestial Wrath on him. Hit my Gnomish Shrink Ray. It backfired, of course, but it backfired in the most spectacular way. It made my pet double in size and double his damage. Through a full shield, he one-shot that priest while under Bestial Wrath. Level 40 pet against level 47 priest. One shot. Those are the days. The Marks tree has some really nice talents. Right at the top you have Improved Concussive Shot, which gives you a chance to stun your target. This is very effective against melee, and if you're lucky enough, effective against casters to stun them in the middle of a cast or heal. Of course you have Aim Shot, which is a very powerful attack if you manage to get it off. There's Hawkeye, which increases your ranged and allows you to start shooting at your opponent long before they can start shooting at you. Then of course there's Scatter Shot. As a disorient, Scatter Shot has many applications. You can use it to interrupt a spell cast or heal. You can use it to disorient the melee that's attacking you. And while either this caster or this melee is disoriented, you can then drop them in a trap and take that time to either cast your aim shot or get away. Now there's also Improved Scorpid Sting, which reduces the stamina of targets affected by Scorpid Sting by 10% of the amount of strength reduced. And why do I mention this? I felt it was noteworthy because it's somewhat effective against warriors, and warriors suck. Now, survival can go one of two ways. You can fully commit to being a melee hunter, or you can use all of the snares in the survival tree's disposal to make you a better ranged hunter. But let's be realistic. Melee hunter is the way to go. In the survival tree, you have deflection, which increases your parry chance by 1% per point. Not super great, but against rogues and warriors can be helpful. Entrapment gives you a chance to snare your targets with your traps, allowing you to get away. Improved wing clip also gives you a chance to snare your target and allow you to get away to a safe distance. Clever Traps increases the duration of your freezing and frost traps, giving you more time to either get away or to cast your damaging abilities. Survivalist gives you more health, which is always better in PvP. And then you have Deterrence, which increases your dodge and parry by 25%. Very effective against rogues and warriors, not so much against casters, unfortunately. Then you have Counterattack. Counterattack is super fun in PvP because when you parry, it gives you the opportunity to immobilize and root your target, allowing you, obviously, to get away, unless you again commit to being a full melee hunter, which by this point you probably have. It is noteworthy that counterattack cannot be blocked, dodged, or parried, and is a 5-second root. At the very bottom, you have Wyvern Sting, which puts your target to sleep for 12 seconds. Once they wake up, they are inflicted with damaging poison. Wyvern Sting is a double-edged sword, because while it is a nice temporary crowd control, it also has the negative effect that once the target awakens from the Wyvern Sting, they are poisoned and cannot be re-CC'd until that poison wears off. For hunters, PvP is going to be 70% skill and 10% luck. What do you mean that's not 100%? It's only 80? And 20% will be the terrain that you're fighting on. There are a lot of things you'll have to juggle in PvP, using different aspects for different situations, making sure you're not dazed using cheetah, making sure your party's not dazed using pack, using hawk against range, monkey against melee when you're in close, using aspect of the beast when you're carrying the flag in Warsun Gulch and trying to hide from other hunters tracking you, using wild against shamans and druids for that extra nature resist. You're going to want to use feign death to get people to drop you as their target. That can buy you crucial seconds to gain an advantage in a fight, especially when they think you're dead and they walk away, which happens more often than you think. Viper stinging casters and draining their mana is a huge part of your PvP toolkit that will not only help you, but help your team during team battles. You'll have to make good use of flares to out rogues, and traps to do the same. Make sure to switch your pet to passive to not break CCs that you drop, and be careful trapping warriors that they don't taunt your pet to get them to break the trap. Staying out of the dead zone is going to be key to your skill wins. I've always found the best matchups for a hunter will really depend on the players involved. As a hunter, your skill level will make more of a difference in what classes you have an easy time against than your actual class skills. Against casters, you're going to make sure you're not letting them free cast. Try to keep them moving and on the defensive as much as you can. Use your intimidation if you have that, scattershot if you went for that, or wyvern sting if you went for that. Whatever you spec for, use it to keep them down as much as you can, and stay out of the dead zone. Against melee, it can be more challenging because you'll want to get out of melee range. For some of you, it will be easier to get away from rogues than for warriors, and vice versa. If you go toe-to-toe with a melee class in melee range, make sure you're utilizing all your traps, using aspects of the monkey, and using feign death to pull out an HP advantage. If you can get them to back away for any reason, you can start to kite them, and then you've pretty much won. Now let's take a look at some PvP where I annotated key hunter skills that you'll want to master for Classic. I hate this battleground. Alright, here we go. Bruh. For the most part, as a hunter, you get to pick and choose what battles you want to fight. If you're good against mages, go for that mage. If you're not good against warriors, stay away from them. You pick your matchups. Unlike your Tinder matches, you don't get to choose those. Horrible app. Just awful. As far as the matchups go, as what you should be winning against versus what should be winning against you, really you should be winning 9 times out of 10 against anything you can kite, which is pretty much just a warrior, and rogues if they don't get the drop on you, or you can get away from them. Anything you could outrange is fair game to beat. So priests, warlocks, druids, shamans if they're elemental. Can kite a shaman if they're enhancement too. Obviously if you're alliance. If you're horde and you're fighting a paladin, you're pretty much screwed. Pretty much the hardest class, I think personally, for a classic hunter to beat is mages, because they are so strong at exploiting the dead zone. Everything else you have a fair shot at. You can melee against melee, you can range against range. The only one that can stick to the dead zone is a mage. So don't feel bad if you lose to a mage. But definitely feel bad if you lose to a boomkin. Well, that's all for episode 4 of the Classic Hunter's Guide. I'm Leafy, the literal god of hunters. Be good, stay cool, stand behind warriors while you shoot, and run away as soon as they die.